Hi, everyone. Welcome to this introductory episode for the Muscle Lab podcast. In this intro episode, I want to discuss what the Muscle Lab is and what the aim of this podcast will be. The Muscle Lab is the Muscle Physiology Research Laboratory, which is a research lab within the Department of Exercise Science and Health Promotion in the College of Science at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida. My name is Michael Zordos, and I'm a professor within the Department of Exercise Science and Health Promotion and director of this Muscle Lab. So the Muscle Lab has been in existence since 2012, and we use resistance training as a modality to leverage positive responses in three areas of human research. Those areas are applied, biochemical, and clinical. If you are familiar with our lab's work, you're probably most familiar with the applied portion. In the applied focus of our work, we look at resistance training program design techniques such as autoregulation and periodization to maximize hypertrophy and strength responses in young, healthy individuals. And the second focus of our lab's work is biochemical, where we look at resistance training to leverage responses of neuroprotective biomarkers. The goal here being to see if resistance training can improve long-term cognition and memory. The third focus is something we've been very excited about recently and is a new addition to our laboratory, where we use resistance training interventions in cancer patients undergoing curative care to see what design of resistance training programming can help to attenuate muscle wasting in cancer patients and improve health-related quality of life. Most important to this discussion is that the Muscle Lab is full of amazing students. We've had many students in the past graduate from the Muscle Lab and go on to amazing PhD programs and then further into academia and into industry. Additionally, we have many current students that are doing some amazing work in the Muscle Lab. So our aim here is to put together a podcast for you every single month, which has a collection of these current students and myself on. And there's three areas that we want to cover in this podcast. The first, in a general sense, we want to discuss what is science and how does the scientific process work. That means, what does science mean to us? How can we use this scientific data in a real world setting and interpret it? But in terms of how does the scientific process work, we want to be able to pull back the curtain a bit on the research process. How do we come up with a rationale for a study? What makes a good research study? What is it like to collect data? What is it like to get a study approved through a university? All of these types of things that aren't talked about a lot when we get the final product of just the research paper itself. The second area that we want to cover in this podcast is that we make sure it's student-centric. So when we say that, undergraduate, master's, and PhD students, what can they expect at every level of academia as they get involved in research? So we'll have a lot of master's students on this podcast, and they'll be able to discuss in a free-form setting what it's like to be a master's student, how they got into it, what they deal with on a daily basis, what kind of troubleshooting they need to do to get through their graduate degree, and then what are the steps they need to take to go on to a PhD. It's not often talked about how to make that transition. We're here to be able to help with that into the PhD level and beyond. The last area that we want to discuss in this podcast is to do some research reviews of some exercise training content. So we'll be able to take specific papers from research that we've published in the past or other research groups have published in the past, bring that onto the podcast, be able to have all of our members read them ahead of time and discuss those papers in depth to be able to give some training knowledge to everybody out there. So what is science? Making sure we're keeping this thing student-centric to help students currently enrolled in programs or that may want to get involved in programs, and then some research reviews and training content. You can find us on Anchor. You can listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts. We'll be on YouTube with video, wherever you like to get your podcast. Our goal here will be one episode per month. We are very excited to bring this to you. We believe our team of students has a unique perspective, and our goal, again, to be able to help students out there in their programs who may wish to go to a program and to help explain some scientific concepts to those who may be in search of that sort of thing. Thank you so much for listening to this, and we very much hope to have you on board our podcast every month.